Well, the UFC's most important fight week of the year thus far is officially underway. The 214 press conference just wrapped up, so let's break it all down here. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani in Los Angeles. That, of course, is my good friend Marc Raimondi. So, Marc, what'd you think? Now we're starting to, break down these press conferences. We're not going to score this one like we did a couple of weeks ago all around North America, but this one kind of felt a little subdued. It felt like it was lacking something. Do you agree?
Yeah, I feel like maybe you and I should get into some kind of a little bit of a physical scuffle just
To help sell pay-per-views.
maybe we can get on the undercard. Who knows if someone misses weight or something. It was subdued, and maybe it's because we were just on that crazy Maymac World Tour where it was just insanity every day. That this one feels like it was dialed back, but this certainly wasn't the Daniel Cormier and John Jones of past press conferences for whatever reason.
So on the conference call on Monday, there was an exchange where Jones first said, "I'm going to be professional. I'm not going to address you. Please don't address me." And then, of course, 2 minutes later, they were addressing each other. And then here, it seemed like there was a moment where they were trying to, engage each other and have a back and forth. But then it kind of fizzled out. And my question to you is, there is, a direct correlation between buzz at press conferences, moments, melees, whatever you want to call them, and selling a lot of pay-per-views. And so I don't understand why now all of a sudden they're trying to remain professional and cordial and friendly, relatively friendly towards each other. This to me is a big mistake. Do you get what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying, and I almost feel like do they hate each other so much that they're actually on the other side of that just loathing, that they're just like almost accepting of that hatred, so that when they see each other, it's just like, wow, I really hate that person, but it's not making me like physically like agitated like it used to. Maybe they're on the other side of it. I don't know what it is, but I thought it was interesting that, like you said, that they said that on the conference call where they were only going to answer questions and they were not going to direct anything at each other. That didn't last very long. They still did on the conference call. They did a little bit today, but this was really their chance outside of the weigh-ins to promote the fight more. It's a fight that is getting promoted well by the UFC, and it's a fight that in some ways doesn't need a lot of promotion, but if you really want to make it a hit, if you really want to hit a Grand Slam and get to that 1 million pay-per-view by Marc, they probably need to do more than they did today for whatever reason.
I said to you before the press conference that I think the line is at around 700,000 pay-per-views, and I actually think that I'm being a little aggressive, but I said, let's see what happens during this press conference. Will something happen that gets picked up by the ESPNs of the world, so to speak? That didn't happen, and so I still don't believe this is going to do 1 million. 2017 has been a down year for pay-per-view. Of course, Mayweather-McGregor will trump all of that, but I just don't feel that as of right now, and it's unfortunate because it is the best card of the year by far. In fact, as far as the top 3 fights are concerned, I mean, it's the best we've seen in quite some time. It just doesn't feel, for whatever reason, they're doing enough. Yes, the promo was great. The initial promo was great, but even, and this is just my observation. You look at Dana White up there, he didn't seem like he wanted to be there. He was asked how good this card is. He gave a one-line answer. He could have started talking about Ozdemir and Manoa and Barao, Sterling, Jason Knight, Cerrone, Lawler. Didn't talk about any of that. Didn't use that as an opportunity to run down just how deep this card is. Wrapped it up relatively quickly, I thought. There were still some people asking for questions, including myself. It just didn't feel like there was an effort to really try to put this over the top.
Yeah, it was a weird press conference. To one of your points, now I get that this is an opportunity for the main event guys to get more money in a sense. I mean, if we're being honest, there really is an opportunity at these press events to up the stakes and to make people want to buy the pay-per-view more. But you also don't want to be in a position where you're asking someone or you're making someone feel like they have to do something stupid or silly or throw a water bottle or a Monster Energy can just because they can get more money if they do that. You want it to be organic.
Sure.
And if this is how those two guys were feeling and this is what came out of it, you have to accept it because the other alternative is pro wrestling essentially and trying to play it up for pay-per-view buys.
Look, we call them press events, but they're really not that. They're open to the public. They're streamed. I mean, if they were truly press events, they would just be for the press and maybe not even streamed on their YouTube. I just feel like at this point, if you're trying to make money, which is what they're here to do, it's not the best time to scale back because we've seen them go full throttle, and maybe that's just the mode that they're in right now.
Well, and also, the UFC only does these press conferences for fans at a live venue like this when it is a big fight. And
it's combustible, right?
When it's a Michael Bisping or if it's a Conor McGregor or if it's a Jones, Daniel Cormier. They didn't do that for UFC 213 when it was Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. they did this for a reason because they thought it could turn into something that could help them sell pay-per-view buys. But again, you can't ask them to do or expect them to do something silly just to make money in that way if they're just not feeling it.
They didn't do it for 213. They didn't do it for 212. They didn't do it for 211. They didn't do it for 210. They didn't do it for 209. They didn't do it for 208. They didn't even do it for 207. In fact, maybe the last time they did it was 205. Is that even possible in Madison Square Garden? Point is, they don't do it often. They do it when they have the right match. So it's almost incumbent on the fighters to validate the whole experience and do something out of the ordinary. That didn't happen. Was there anything positive that stood out? Was there anything you're like, oh, this is good. This is a nice little wrinkle in the feud or in the story, a nice little new chapter? Anything that stood out?
Not necessarily. I think it was really, I mean, I'm just being honest. There wasn't a whole lot that we haven't heard from both guys. John Jones showed off his abs a couple times. I
actually thought that was notable that he chose to square off without his shirt on.
That was interesting. He's obviously very proud of the work that he's done for this fight. He's obviously he's underscoring that at every turn, how much he's worked and what he's done that people haven't seen to clean up his life, and not just not just in training, but also other aspects of his life. And I feel like that's kind of to him a symbol of that. Like, hey, I'm not out partying. Look how hard I've worked, for this. So I mean, I think that's a great thing. I thought that Cyborg was very popular. It is Southern California, so it is her home base here in the States. And every time she spoke, didn't say a whole lot, but the crowd popped every time. So that was good. I think she is a star. Maybe not they should be promoting her more as such.
She has a presence, right? She has a star presence when you see her.
There's a certain presence about her, and I don't think that it was just because we were here in LA either. I think that in most places she would have that too. I feel like they should do more with her in these spots.
Fun little exchange between DC and Jones when Jones said that DC looks like a crackhead wearing a suit, and he said, DC replied, I may look like one, but I've never been one before. I actually thought DC was very comfortable up there. He wasn't trying to gain cheers or acceptance from the people. He was just kind of being himself. So there were some moments as far as interesting exchanges, entertaining exchanges, if you will, but nothing like what we saw at 211, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that went over the line and they were trying to scale it back, but it wasn't the fireworks I thought that maybe we were expecting to kick off the fight week.
No fireworks. I think that what you just mentioned, the crackhead line, was probably the highlight of the entire press conference. There wasn't anything all that notable otherwise.
A couple other notable things. Dana White saying that Damian Maia is one of the nicest human beings on the planet, which I think we could attest to, so that was nice. And also perhaps most noteworthy of all, Dana White saying that after the press conference he was meeting with GSP's people, if you will, to talk about what's next, but not exactly committing to GSP being next for the winner of Woodley Maia. Only after Woodley said that GSP is going to continue to campaign for Michael Bisping, which is what we know he wants to do, did Dana White say, you're going to get him if you win. But I still feel like he was beginning to open that door a little bigger to the eventual Michael Bisping GSP fight at MSG. It didn't feel like he kind of like shut that down. He said the ship had sailed, but look, even when he talked about, what did he bring up? Brock Lesnar and John Jones, the whole crowd was jeering, and he even acknowledged that it seems like no one believes him that he hasn't talked to Brock Lesnar, right? Did you notice that?
I did notice that, and if
the crowd was calling him a liar.
And if you're listening carefully to what he said about the Woodley Maia winner fighting George St. Pierre, he said, that's the plan at this moment.
At this moment.
So that was about a half hour ago. The plan could have already changed, so who knows?
That's right. All right, let's wrap things up. Good to be here. Good to be in LA. The press events, if you will, moved to Orange County. Is that even Orange County where we're going tomorrow?
It's still LA County, I believe.
Okay.
It's
Marc being a stickler for the geography.
California is very, very spread out, and it's a little bit, yeah.
Nevertheless, there is a media day with the rest of this stack card Thursday morning, and then there's an open workout with the top 6 fighters on the card Thursday evening, so we will be at that. Tons of coverage to come. We're just getting started here in Southern California, so do not go anywhere. For our crew here, for Marc, I am Ariel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Thursday.